when we spoke to him last week, the days blend together. When he and D. Haslam talked, he mentioned how we need to see the rookies this year.
Right.
So you're clearly preparing us to suffer through Dillon Gabriel starting football games this year. There's no secretly about it. We aren't expecting it.
Yeah.
Because Dillon's been that bad on the practice field. Now, again, to be fair to that, he's had some good throws. It's not all been a disaster, but this week been a disaster.
I just wonder if it gets loud to a point.
Overexposed this week.
It's because made it crystal clear to Dillon when they picked him in the 3rd round. They see him as their future QB. Everyone had him pegged for the 5th or 6th round, but somehow the Browns saw something in him and grabbed him early. They told him flat out that they liked him, and now they're doubling down on that decision. All the attention is on Dillon, and it's like they're pushing him to play, even though, let's be real, he's nowhere near the level of Shedeur Sanders. It's almost as if the Browns are too invested in their narrative to step back and acknowledge the real talent in the room. But is Dillon Gabriel really worth all this hype? The answer is no. Let's take a look at the records from the last 2 training days, Day 6 and Day 8, where most of the reps were allocated to Dillon Gabriel. On Day 6, he got 16 reps and completed 10 of them. Not bad, right? But here's the thing. That one interception he threw? That's the crack in the armor. It may seem minor, but in a training camp as competitive as this, those small mistakes are what separate the good from the great. And in this case, Shedeur Sanders clearly stood tall above the rest. You can't ignore the difference in their performances when the stakes are this high. On the other hand, Shedeur Sanders went 7 for 10 in those rapid-fire 30-second drills. Not only was he efficient, but he also kept things flawless when it came to ball security. No interceptions, nothing to disrupt his rhythm. That's the kind of consistency you need, especially under pressure. And let's be real, that's leadership. That's elite. Shedeur wasn't just completing passes, he was doing it in a way that shows he's ready to lead at the next level. When you compare that to Dillon's mistakes, it's clear who has the upper hand. Then came Day 8 of the training session, and once again, Dillon Gabriel was nowhere to be seen. He was flat out bad. Out of 14 attempts, he only managed 3 completions. That's not the kind of performance you expect from someone who's supposed to be the future QB. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders was on fire, going 7 for 10 again. The contrast couldn't have been more stark. Dillon's struggles were undeniable, while Shedeur continued to shine, proving once again that when it comes to consistency and making plays under pressure, he's in a league of his own. And this was not just about only numbers. During today's practice, Dillon Gabriel had another chance to reset, dropping back to get a better look downfield. But something wasn't right. He hesitated, couldn't find his target, and ended up forcing a throw. The result? A costly interception. What made it worse was that he didn't even see the defender sneaking into the passing lane. It was the kind of mistake you'd expect from a rookie still finding his footing, not someone supposed to be taking first-team reps. The play was there for Dillon Gabriel to make. The defense had collapsed the pocket, and everyone was bunched up near the middle. The entire left flank was wide open. All Dillon had to do was roll out, use his legs, and maybe even hit his wide receiver in stride. But instead, he panicked. He forced a throw right into the defensive line. No angle, no awareness. And just like that, it turned into a turnover. It wasn't just a bad decision. It was a complete failure to read the field and take what was given to him. Shedeur Sanders, on the other hand, was electric during the training he was there. He looked more confident than ever, and every time he took the ball, it seemed like he had a plan in mind. Let's break down this play. Shedeur took a step back, eyes scanning, ball in hand. The pressure was coming fast, defenders closing in from every angle, but in the midst of the chaos, Shedeur saw what others didn't. An opening. Calm under pressure, he stepped up, using perfect footwork to slice through the gap. And just when it looked like the play might collapse, he locked onto his target, a wide receiver breaking near the sideline. One flick of the wrist, boom, touchdown. Precision, awareness, execution. Classic Shedeur. It's moments like these that show why he's the guy for the starting role. Shedeur didn't just stop at one touchdown. He followed it up with another, and this time the defense was even tighter, more compact than before. Let's break down this play. Shedeur Sanders quickly assessed the field, tight, compressed, with no room to step up and throw through the middle. The lines weren't spread wide enough for a clean pocket, and the defense was closing in fast. But with sharp instincts, Shedeur didn't force it. He rolled out to the right, and the defenders, thinking it was a run, collapsed in to contain him. But that was the bait. As they committed and left just the slightest gap in the coverage, Shedeur saw it. With perfect timing, he threaded a dart through the lines, hitting his wide receiver in stride. It was calculated, calm, and absolutely clutch, a textbook play that showed exactly why he's becoming the top choice. Even with it becoming increasingly difficult to buy into this idea that he's the future QB. Nick Wright made his stance clear, stating that Shedeur Sanders deserved to be the starter. Wright wasn't just impressed by Sanders' talent. He also pointed out that Sanders was competing against quarterbacks like Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, and Joe Flacco. When it came to Kenny Pickett, Wright wasn't kind. He argued that Pickett had already been given ample opportunities to prove himself, but had failed to convince anyone he was the franchise quarterback. In Wright's eyes, Pickett simply wasn't the answer.
He has found himself with Kenny Pickett, who is not an NFL quarterback. He's flatly not an NFL quarterback. We have seen it every chance he's had, every opportunity he's had to play.
As for Joe Flacco, Wright dismissed him outright, stating that Flacco's time had come and gone. Despite his Super Bowl pedigree, Flacco no longer had what it took to be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Flacco, who I just think if you're the Browns, what are you doing? Why?
Wright also...
Gabriel, who through no fault of his own, commits one of my cardinal sins of quarterbacking, which is he's tiny. And so, I mean, he's tiny.
With all these factors in play, Wright made it clear. Shedeur Sanders was the guy who should be leading the team. Shedeur is doing great, and even if he would not have been great, he still would be leading the team. Wright also dug into the stats from the training sessions, acknowledging that, while they might not hold much weight in the grand scheme, they still can't be ignored. Every time those numbers came up, Shedeur Sanders was either at the top or at the very least outshining the other quarterbacks. Whether it was completion percentage, decision-making, or overall efficiency, Sanders consistently stood out. Wright pointed out that even though it's early, these training camp stats were hard to dismiss. It wasn't just one flashy performance. Shedeur kept performing well, day in and day out, showing a level of consistency that the others simply couldn't match.
Yeah. And the fact that whatever those training camp stats are worth, and maybe it's next to nothing, it's not nothing, and it's not 0% that they're worth, and every time we show him, he's at least in line with everybody. And so I just think
generally better.
I think there is
8-25 to 8-43. The ongoing narrative surrounding Dillon Gabriel as the Browns' future quarterback seems increasingly hard to believe, especially when you compare his performance to that of Shedeur Sanders. Despite getting more reps in training, Gabriel's inconsistency and critical mistakes, like missed throws, forced passes, and interceptions, paint a picture that doesn't align with the future QB expectations the Browns are pushing. On the other hand, Shedeur continues to shine, with his efficiency, ball security, and leadership standing out in every drill. His ability to perform under pressure, make precise decisions, and lead his team is something Gabriel simply hasn't shown. The Browns might be doubling down on their decision, but it's becoming evident to fans, analysts, and experts alike that the future of the team might not lie with Gabriel. As Nick Wright pointed out, Shedeur Sanders not only outshines Gabriel in training, but also has the maturity, vision, and consistency that's essential for leading a team. If the Browns are serious about their future, they should take a hard look at the undeniable difference in performance and give Shedeur the chance he's earned. What do you all think about this situation? Do you believe the Browns are making the right call with Dillon Gabriel as their future QB? Or are they just sticking to a narrative that doesn't match the reality of his performance? What is to become the Arsenal player? So, looking at the stats and how both players are performing, is Gabriel really the better choice, or is Shedeur Sanders clearly the more talented and consistent option? Let me know your thoughts. Is this all about potential, or does actual performance under pressure matter more? Drop your opinions in the comments.